Hi there, Chris here with another fresh tip for you all. In this video, we're going to continue our work on the corpse grinder cultist from Necromunda Dark Uprising. And in this video, the model is pretty much done. It's game ready. We've only brought it to a tabletop standard, but now we're going to finish off the model by adding some gore. And these guys kind of demand to be covered in gore. So we're going to get things started with some rhinox hide. I'm going to use a palette here with just a little concave section in it so that my little wash won't run away on the palette with me. I'm using a little bit of silly putty and an old toothbrush. And basically what we're going to do is we're just going to mask off the arms because basically I don't want any uniformity to occur on the model as I'm going to be creating the splattering, and I'm going to go in an upward motion. That's why you're kind of looking at the model in that perspective. I'm just illustrating that that's the kind of direction we're going to go. So I don't want to have, kind of just too much gore going on, as I want to be very controlled in this regards. So you can see I throw a little bit onto my palette, about 2 or 3 helpings of water. Take my toothbrush here, and then basically with that little flicking motion, we are going to create little splatters. And I'm going to try and get this so that it kind of goes in an upward motion we want to have kind of this splattering, kind of like it's splattering upwards at the model. And as you can see here, I slowly work my way around, and I'm only going to concentrate mainly on the front. And you can see already quite a bit is already splashed down. Again, it's entirely up to you how much you want to lay down. If you can just have this guy completely covered in gore, or you can, keep it a little bit more subtle as we have it here. You can see there's quite a bit on his loincloth there. So actually we can kind of correct that because, again, we've added so much water to this that we can just use basically a dry brush and basically pull the excess color out. As you can see here, the bristles actually act kind of like a syringe and draw that excess paint out. Because it was watered down, if any tide marks occur, it's actually okay because it'll add to that kind of stained blood. And here it is as it's dry, and I'm kind of happy with that. So now I'm going to mask off the body with the silly putty as we are going to work on the arms. I'm going to show you a different technique for doing the same kind of thing. We could continue to use the toothbrush as it were, but we're going to use an airbrush, and I'm spraying it around 25-30 psi. I've loaded the brush with just a little bit of the paint. Actually, it's swollen quite a bit, really. And then I just kind of hold the brush near where I want, and then I pass the airbrush kind of in a side-to-side type motion so that I'm not blowing directly at it for any length of time. It's just kind of a quick little burst past it, and I kind of slowly build the effect up as you can see there. And again, one side is kind of really kind of splatterized, and I also did the undersides as well. I didn't show that on camera because I think you guys kind of get the idea. Again, you could use the toothbrush to get that effect, but I figured I might as well show you 2 different ways of getting this splattered effect on a model. And here he is with the mask removed. You can see it's all dried up, and it looks pretty darn cool. And you could stop there, leaving that dried blood, or we could come in with some blood for the blood god. And this one here, basically, I'm just going to use a larger brush. This is the shade wash brush. And I have a fairly generous amount into the bristles, and I'm just kind of saturating the bottom of his loincloth because, I don't know, why not, right? Also, his axes, we're going to apply a fairly generous amount into the sawtooth blade edge, cutting edge, the saw edge, right? And we're going to do that on both sides. I'm applying it fairly generously into those areas. And then also I take the brush and kind of give a quick little flick just to get that little kind of motion, like, it's kind of hacking into something, and, the blood is kind of just, if you've played around with any kind of gore effects before, watch any kind of horror movies, those all serve as inspiration. I'm going to continue on here. I'm going to use the airbrush to get a little bit more of the splattering effect, and basically as what we did before, I loaded up with blood for the blood god, and then in the side-to-side type motion, I just basically blow the paint off of the bristles, and then I quickly switch back to the toothbrush as well because I noticed one little area I wanted to saturate a little bit more with this kind of fresh blood, and so I just really kind of worked the blood into that direction, and I wanted more blood to be built up near his feet and his thighs because, it's kind of like he's in the workings and he's chopping up bodies. I'm coming in with a detail brush here just to kind of hit some other points that I thought needed just a little bit more gore. I know he's really kind of covered in it, and here I wanted his hands to be, you know, kind of saturated with blood. So I thinned it out with a little bit of water here and applied it in around the hands and just kind of any areas that I thought would benefit from some excess blood. You can see on this chest plate here, I wanted a little bit more, and just kind of picking little areas, and basically it's just a careful little stippling here and there to create the effect. I also go around the cuffs or the pant legs as well, and I do that all the way around the boot, but just because you know, kind of maybe like he's wading through blood kind of thing, or you know, and of course I also did on his loincloth because maybe blood saturated through the loincloth. But either way, it's a lot of fun. You can see that there's splatters all over the model, but we have varying tones, and so we don't get this kind of uniform, kind of cartoony kind of look to the blood and gore. We actually have kind of this layered approach to dried blood as well as fresh blood, and you know, I kind of really enjoy this. I don't do this kind of thing very often on models, and this was a lot of fun. And so hopefully you guys enjoyed this Corpse Grinder little series here. Huge thank you to all my patrons. Without your support, these videos would not be possible, and if you are considering Patreon support, click the link in the description below. A huge thank you, and so I will see you guys in the next video. Take care of them brushes, and they will take care of you.